Hey guys, thank you for tuning in today. Today we are talking about fraud in the Skoolie community and how a bus build actually could have been deadly. So stay tuned because it's a good one today. This video is actually a surprise. I wasn't anticipating doing this video this week. This was not on my radar, this video. And it sort of came about a day or so after I posted my welcome videos, and I completely shifted course. I rearranged all of my videos. I renumbered all of them. And that actually takes a lot of effort. I've got all the links set up. I've got the videos, ready to roll, and I sort of had to shuffle everything around because I felt this video was that important. So the story is there's a company. I wasn't going to name them at first, but now I'm going to name them. They're easy to find. I've done enough research and due diligence myself to believe what's happening. So I feel confident enough in calling out this company. I would never just do this for slander or defamation, but I'm doing it because I'm confident that this stuff is really happening and that it's a systematic problem with this company and with other builders. So there's a company in San Antonio, Texas called Lonestar Skoolie Conversions, and they are the feature of today's show. So the gist is that I don't know who they have working there or what their qualifications are, but they are not school bus people. And they sell school buses at a high rate. They charge people a lot of money, and they aren't getting what they're paying for, is fact of the matter. There's a couple that we're going to focus on today, Oz and PJ. They are so sweet. I've spoken to them both. I have permission from them and the original poster of the video to kind of go through and talk about different things with you guys. There's a lot of good content in today's video, so please stay tuned to the end. I know everybody says that, but I'm dead serious. Like, there's a lot of really good stuff that, we kind of dive into. We kind of pick apart this build and why it was just utter trash. And luckily a man named Ross with Rolling Living on YouTube, he has his own conversion company, and he has really come forth and stepped forward and brought a lot of this to light and helped spread the word. And he's working directly with Oz and PJ on their build to fix all of the mistakes. It's pretty scary. It's definitely emotional. So I don't recommend this video for everybody. Viewer discretion advised on this one. So without further ado, let's get started. All of the links are in the description. If you want to go back and watch some of these videos, if you want to sort of do your own research and due diligence, you're more than welcome to. All the links are below. So got a lot to talk about. So let's get started.
I'm just going to be blunt. This is...
Okay. I like blunt. I like them already.
Is kind of a hard video for me to do. Hard because there's the potential that viewers might misinterpret my motivation for doing this. We do full-time work on buses, mechanical work, especially on the older Detroit diesels, the two-strokes. I do conversions, I do solar installations. So showing you a bus that was converted by a competitor, somebody else in the same industry, could be interpreted as me trying to bash them to get business. And I want to make it really clear up front that that is not my motivation. I'm doing this out of disgust. I'm doing it out of concern for the folks who bought this bus. I'm doing it out of a desire to help other people who might consider getting a conversion done and seeing some of the things that are being done by others in the industry and helping them avoid cosmetic issues, helping them avoid mechanical issues, helping them avoid safety and fire hazards.
Everything that he just listed is everything that I listed in my welcome to the Whys Behind the Design video. So, I mean, at some point, I've spoken to Ross, a decent amount up to this point. I would love to work with him. I'm I've got a good feeling about him. His credentials line up. Everything checks out in my book. I did not feel like he was, being weird about this, like bashing another company. My point is that we have to start listening to the professionals, because you get stuff like this when you don't. And I am not victim blaming at all. This couple is so sweet that this happened to, and I'm heartbroken for them. I don't even know what can of worms we're about to open, but I'm sure I'm not going to like it. So start listening to the damn professionals that have been doing this for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Please.
All of those exist in this bus. There are electrocution hazards. There are a couple different forms of fire hazard. And I'm just personally disgusted. My wife and I take this as kind of a personal affront.
What he just said there is how I feel. I felt such sadness for this couple and what they had to go through. And to find out that they are among a lot of people who this has happened to is so sad. So I take it as a personal affront as well, Ross. I really do, because this is just this build. I've seen some things. This build is unforgivable. Because
we try to do quality work. I know there are others in the industry who are trying to do the same. There are always the potential opportunities for miscommunication. But I'm going to show you things that were done in here that were done cheaply, even though this was not a cheap conversion. I'll just be frank. I know they paid about $45,000 for the conversion.
Shut the fuck. $45,000. I have to just stop there for a second and marinate on that. That's people's life savings. And I make good money, and I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying I make good money, and it still takes me a good while to save up $45,000. It took me a good while to save up for the roof raise and to buy the bus and to buy all the things really quickly because they were on sale. And I know that this couple has money left over from this. They're able to start to fix some of these problems. But I know that other people have been affected by this company. There was a person that, I saw $75,000 for their build. $75,000. It breaks my heart, because I think about my entrance into this community, and it was met with nothing but kindness and just a great outlook and a great mentality and all of the good things. And to have somebody who has no experience, as a couple, try to hire somebody who says they have all the experience, and then to go through this, that's heartbreaking, because now you got to rip all that shit out. And I'm looking at this bus and I already see things wrong. So let's keep going.
Finally, they got from Texas, where they bought the bus, on their way back to California.
Not everybody
they had to
is
be
building
at
wrong
work
in
the
Texas.
next day. I drove our Toyota Tundra from up here near Flagstaff, Arizona, down to Benson. It was about a 4.5-hour drive. I loaned them our Toyota. I brought the bus home. That way I could deal with mechanical issues. I'll be frank, I didn't get it home until the next day. I had to spend the night.
Okay, so after everything, that just sort of, for me, reaffirms, the goodness in this man and his wife and his company. Let's talk about what he just said. He drove 4.5 hours after he spent all this time going over, doing remote diagnostic and talking about the problems, blah, 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 donating his time. The victims, we'll call them victims because they are, the victims of this fraud have not paid him a dime yet, right, for his help and his expertise and his knowledge. So he donated his time, and he had to fix the bus and sleep in it overnight. Knowing all of the problems that this bus has, he slept in it. This dangerous ass bus, he slept in it. I mean, if that's not the definition of a good, I don't even say Samaritan, of a good person, I don't know what is. I want this guy on my team.
Night in the bus.
This guy will be a part of my team, 100%.
It was worth it. They got back to California about midnight that night. They were able to get to work the next day. I've got the bus here. I will address the mechanical issues, the safety issues. But I'm disgusted enough that if any of you have had conversions done by this outfit and you've got safety issues like some of these, we will donate 2 days of free labor
But
to work with you on correcting these safety issues.
I just said it, but this just like reaffirms it again and again and again. He's donated all this time and all these resources for this one couple who very much so needs it and deserves it at this point, 100%. But he doesn't have to do this. You know, he still has to put food on his table. He still has to feed his family. And he's doing this just out of literally the kindness of his heart. But y'all, stuff like this costs money. Expertise costs money. Shit, I want to give him my money. That's what I'm telling you. This man will be on my team. Like, I will hire him for his, you know, consult and everything. Like, he very well may design my damn solar setup. Have good people on your team. That is the moral of this whole thing. Have good people on your team. Look at the professionals. Check their references. Get, you know, that's another reason why I'm recording this series. Because you will see what's behind my walls, what's under my floor. You will see that this is quality. It will speak for itself. You can look at a build and tell if it's quality or not. It is not that hard. So let's move on, but that's amazing.
Issues, to go over the wiring, to go over the potential hazards, and we'll work with you free for 2 days just to help correct these things. What's my background? I have worked all over the world doing wind and solar installations. I was the first master trainer in small wind, certified in the US and internationally. I've put village electrification installations in and done troubleshooting on those installations with both wind and solar in India, in Honduras, in Japan, Korea. I've worked in Turkey, all over Europe, all over the US. I have taught electrical code update classes for the NEC, for the union.
The fact that he's listing off some of his experience. He's worked with code. Wow. Here's that word again. Pretty sure I mentioned that in my last video too. Weird. These are not buzzwords, people. These are things that the professionals look at. Just saying. So somebody might think, you know, oh, well, he's worked in these different countries, so that took away from his time learning stuff in the US maybe. Honestly, to me, to a fellow professional in the field, that to me shows me that you had different experience in different countries that have different regulations, different rules, different codes. So you're able to see what works and what doesn't work and what best practices are, right? And so unfortunately, because of this whole mess of a situation that is this cute blue bus, there are no regulations in the Skoolie community, so shit like this happens. Fortunately, there are no regulations in the Skoolie community, so we can, at this moment in time, build what is best, not necessarily what is always legal or what have you. For example, California has a lot more strict rules than other states. Does that make California more right than other people? Not necessarily. So we're kind of in this weird gray area where if you truly have good people on your team and you truly have professionals that know what they're doing and can help you do the right thing in the best way, then you're set. You know, you don't have to be licensed. You don't have to, necessarily. I'm not a licensed architect. I'm not a licensed plumber. I'm not a licensed bus driver, right? But I can still do all of those things and I can do them pretty damn well. And you're also not going to pay for me being licensed, because now my hourly rate skyrockets. So you don't have to be licensed. Experience does speak volumes though. And the fact that he's had literally worldwide experience, to me as a fellow professional, that's amazing.
Electricians from the IBEW in several locations around the country. So when I show you these things, I hope you understand that I have a basis for understanding or knowing what is right and what's wrong. So let's go through this and I'll show you. Let's take a quick walk around the outside.
Before we get off this view too much, I just want to say that this is a really cute little bus. And this bus has an Allison 545 transmission with a Cummins 5.9 engine. And for a bus this size, it's a little off topic for what we're talking about today, but for a bus this size, this is a perfect engine. It really, truly is a perfect engine. Anything bigger than this bus, a full-size bus, you don't want a Cummins 5.9. They are just underpowered, especially when it's paired with an Allison 545 transmission. That's when you start to get sort of compounding problems. I have an Allison 545 transmission. I anticipate switching it out at some point. But in that case, I mean, I will be most likely switching out my entire engine. I see that question all the time about engines. For a bus this size, that engine is fine. Anything more, the bus is underpowered. If you don't want to believe me, if you don't want to believe the hundreds of mechanics that would agree with me, if you don't want to believe whoever, I mean, if you don't know who Wes Lewis from Transcend Existence is, then you are not truly a member of this community. I believe that 100%. He is truly one of the pioneers of the whole Skoolie. I mean, he practically invented the roof raise for the school bus. He's got a Cummins 5.9 in his full-size bus with a massive deck on the back, and he thinks it is incredibly underpowered for his bus. Loves the engine, but, would definitely like the Cummins 883. So just keep that in mind. A bus this size and smaller, perfect. A bus slightly bigger than this and bigger, get the bigger engine.
This is how the bus was delivered to them. This is a Bluebird, a transit bus, so it only has one door. They had this outfit paint the bus for them, and you'll see that they received it with clear tape over the lenses. There are no lenses here, no lenses there. The trim rings are gone. Same over here.
Look how unfinished that looks. Oh, come on. Do you see the overspray in this shit? I mean, they literally opened this door and just went with the spray. Like, all you have to do is put a piece of plastic over that and half-ass tape it down, and it's not going to look like that. But here's the problem. That's their windshield wiper fluid. When you start, just lazily painting over these caps and these different things, you can't see through them, first of all. To see if you have windshield wiper fluid, you're supposed to be able to see through that. You can't right now. 2, it's lazy as shit, so I am so not excited to see what comes next. And 3, I mean, it's not really electrical, but when you start painting over the electrical, those wires are different colors for reasons, guys. So you start painting over them, you start making them all the same color. I mean, it's just lazy.
Now, I want to show you this panel.
And this is the shit they get.
The turn signals don't work on this bus, and they did not when the customer picked it up from the builder.
That's a safety issue.
The taillights don't work on this bus. Did
you hear that? The taillights don't work on the bus. Y'all, that is the first thing that you fix. If it's not working, the bulb is out, there's a loose wire, a bad connection, doesn't matter. That's the first damn thing that you fix. That's a safety issue. You want to talk about, I see questions like this all the time. When you are a big yellow bus and you're driving down the side of the road, right, you're going to stand the fuck out. Like, you need to make sure that you are driving legally because you're going to stand out. When I picked up the bus, Doug, the guy that I bought the bus from at the school district, he said, make sure if you cross any railroad tracks, stop at the railroad tracks. I said, really? And he goes, yeah. Because if you are a big yellow bus, and if a cop sees you not stop at a railroad track, you're going to get pulled over and there's going to be questions. That's good advice. So don't draw more attention and put other people's lives at risk. They don't know that you're slowing down. You can't always see that a car is slowing down a big rig like this if you don't have brake lights. They can't tell that you're trying to get into a new lane or that you're turning if you don't have turn signals. When you're in a big rig, you need these things. These are legit safety concerns. Unbelievable.
Signals don't work, and in this panel are all of the circuit breakers, the solenoids that provide power to every circuit within the bus.
Those panels are on every bus. I mean, whether there's circuitry behind it or some kind of like fuse block or batteries, those panels are in every bus. Normally, though, they've got a handle right there at the end that you can pop open.
Both the chassis circuits and then the bus circuits, but in this case it's all in here. Problem is they can't get into this panel. Some buses have a little latch here, but many of the buses, like this one, have a release lever on the inside, and I'm going to show you that the release lever is hidden. It is buried under 2x4s.
Jesus Christ. I mean, it just gets better and better. Seriously. Y'all, you don't cover your access panels or the ways to open your access panel. In school buses, there's usually a 6x6 piece of metal that's secured to the floor, and that is for your fuel tank. People ask me that all the time too. What is this for? Can I cover it? No. Shit, no. Hopefully you never need to get into it that way, and but worst case, you do. Now what? Now you're paying a lot of money to either drop that fuel tank or to have somebody crawl up under there and work. I don't even know how you would do it. There's a reason there's an access panel there. Same thing with the rear engine pushers where they've got those big air vents and things. I've seen those. You can't take that out. You've got to think about this when you buy the bus. And when you're designing it, there's ways around it for sure, but you got to think about this. You don't cover
plywood,
this shit.
And they can't get into it, and I couldn't either.
He said that this panel behind this panel is all the circuitry for the bus. And they covered it to where you can't get into it. It's one thing, listen, with this though, okay, it's one thing maybe to wire something wrong. I am not making an excuse for it at all. It's one thing to wire something wrong though, okay? Because it's technical and tedious. It's another to turn around and do something so blatantly stupid. That's just stupid.
Here is the 30 amp power supply. Make note of this. I'll explain why I'm showing you this later.
That should be pushed back more. Most pedestals in RV parks and campgrounds, but most of those panels and things are midway and back in your rig because that's where they're put in RVs. So if you start doing crazy things in your school buses, you're going to have problems. There's a reason why the dump tank is on the driver's side. There's a reason why the plug is on the driver's side, not on the passenger side. Side note, I saw somebody put the damn plug and the water inlet on the front side of the passenger side, right, of the bus. And you're like, I'm just thinking what? Why? Now you have to run hoses down up under your RV or your bus to plug everything in. It makes no sense. There are some things, be creative with some things. Don't reinvent the damn wheel.
The windows here are duct taped shut because they are not staying closed. Now, I can't fault the builder for some of these things because when you buy a used bus, there will be issues.
He said he's not going to fault the builder for the duct taped windows. I am. First of all, it looks so janky. Okay, first of all, it looks really trashy. Second of all, there are handles that you can get to keep the windows closed. In fact, I've been shopping for handles for my emergency exits because they normally come with those really big, thick, bulky red, handles. I don't want those. Those are ugly. They're bulky. I don't want them. So I've been looking for smaller handles. So they do exist. So it's lazy. I fault them. Oh, ladder on the outside.
Here's the water fill.
Stop putting ladders on the outside of your rigs. You are asking for trouble. You are asking for somebody to climb up your ladder, fall off, and sue the shit out of you. Stop putting yourself at risk like that. And that if it's not secured right, and you're a little bit bigger, you're gonna rip that shit right out of that sheet metal that it's attached to. Also, we're gonna stop right now. Actually, I'm gonna try to back up here because when you buy a used bus, hold on, let me get to it. Okay, you see the water fill right now. Why is that water fill not behind the panels? You can buy the water fill. It's a sort of an encapsulated deal, and then there's a panel and with a little key lock. You got to replace the key lock because that same key and that same lock is used in every single application on an RV on the outside. So you want to replace those after you buy the component there. But people don't think about these things. But this is asking for trouble. Why, Lauren? Because y'all, anybody could just open that and pour anything they want into it. That's your fresh water tank, guys. Anybody could just pour anything they want into it. Or they can siphon your water or mess with you. You think that crazy people don't exist. I would rather be prepared, and be safe, not ever really be a concern, rather than not be prepared and not have safety measures in place and then turn around and be caught on your heels. Don't use these water fills. Also, this water fill, as you can see, is perpendicular to the wall of the bus. You want to use ones, they make ones that are angled, that way the weight of the hose doesn't pull on them so hard. That's a lot of weight, especially those heated water hoses. It's a lot of weight. My connection is loose because it's straight out instead of at an angle. Oh, there's no excuse to not buy the right things nowadays. Too many people learn from other people's mistakes. Learn from their mistakes. Shitty ladder.
Now this is just cosmetic. I mean, for the love of God, can't you at least install the ladder straight? It's hard to tell because I'm so close, but this ladder is canted like that.
Oh, shut the fuck up. What do you say to that? Ladder's crooked. The ladder's crooked.
Nice lens up there.
The lens is
Let's
gone.
climb up on the roof, and I want to show you the solar. All right, I got partway up, and I'm just going to show you here.
Look how crooked that is.
Just how crooked these are installed. And
no,
again, that's just nitpicky complaint.
There's no sealant behind those. I see no sealant behind that. That is a metal on metal screw in the middle of it. On your roof.
So it sounds like
Leak. Also, do you see all that paint that wasn't there? How tacky. That deck looks nice, though.
This cute couple. They are just the nicest, most understanding people.
Do you see those wires? Oh my god, we haven't even gotten inside of the bus yet. Do you see those exposed wires? That is so dangerous. If that chafes because it's exposed and it gets cut, that is so dangerous. That is live wire. Holy shit.
Fortunately, they're in a position.
And stop using these rooftop ACs. They suck. They're so bad.
They had to have this bus towed. Paid about $1,600 for that. They had to hire a mechanic to help them repair a hose. They had to buy parts, coolant, all kinds of stuff.
You paid $45,000 for a conversion, and you had to pay for coolant.
On the way, just to try to get from San Antonio back to California. So here's the solar installation. Renogy panels. And they're fine. Now, personally, I like to use commercial panels, and I could have suggested something cheaper. But anyway, that's just nitpicky. But leaving these wires just loose and flopping around like that in the wind is going to lead to chafing. Like here, I mean, that wire's going to chafe
like we're on
and
the same
eventually
page.
Wear through
Like
on that
we know
bracket.
what I'm talking about.
Another thing, you don't want to use silicone on the roof. Dicor.
Y'all, silicone does not stick to anything after it dries. Silicone doesn't even stick to silicone after it dries. If you put silicone on something and you want to fix the silicone or apply more later, you got to scrape all of it off, clean the surface, and then put silicone on again. You don't use... Silicone is not... In bathrooms, maybe. I hate silicone, though.
Some kind of a polyurethane sealant would be a much better choice. I do not know if this is sealed under here, this plate that was put in to cover the access or the emergency exit hatch. But this silicone will peel right off and doesn't stick very well. So not a good choice on the roof. Sorry about my finger. Silicone is not a good choice up here.
What's happening? What's all that shit on the roof?
This is the...
Is that... Oh my god, I wonder if all that... You can just see all that, like, all those spots? That's either they painted and then they got up here while the paint was still tacky, or that's all that silicone or whatever else goopy shit they used and they just... It went everywhere. This is so trash.
Boot for the wood stove. I think it's kind of curious that they put silicone around most of it, but didn't even bother here, where it's most likely that's the...
It's like they tried to do everything wrong. Like, everything that you're like, what should we do here? Should we at least half-ass it? Or should we do it right? Or should we do it wrong? And they're like, no, just don't even half-ass it. Whole ass the wrong. Go whole ass into the wrong. I mean, they didn't even try, the audacity of these bullshit builders. I'm gonna call them for what they are. The audacity of these bullshit builders to not even try to hide their mistakes. That's what I think is the most concerning. Like, listen, I am not arguing that people should hide mistakes behind walls and things, you know, so the customer doesn't see, but you didn't even try.
The biggest gap where the seam is.
Like, they thought they had so little respect for the buyer as people. They had so little care in the world. Like, they thought so little of them that they didn't even care to half-ass a job.
Is most likely to run down that. Anyway, not the right way to do that.
Shocker.
And we are at the back of the bus. Like I said, it's a
What
cute
the
little
fuck
bus.
is happening there? What is What is this? I don't know if this is just mud, but I don't know why only the back of the bus would be this dirty. I don't know if this is mud or dirt or rust. It's obviously there's rusting. Oh my god. This looks like a bus that was, like, they painted this color. I want to be clear here in case you didn't hear it earlier. The builders painted this bus this color. It didn't come this color. Meaning, this is all after. This is the after photo that you're seeing. This is after.
Here's the
That looks
factory
worse than my before
or
photo.
original backup camera, which is not connected to anything. I'm not quite sure why they left that metal peeled up like that, or why they peeled it up like that. We're going to get into the engine bay for a few things here in a minute, but let's finish the walk
What is
around.
happening here?
So this was obviously installed after the bus was painted.
Yeah.
Beautiful attention to detail there.
Okay, this, I'm gonna tell you something. In the welding world, this is what we call hammered dog shit. Hammered dog shit. Google it. It's hilarious because it's so sad and pathetic. This is hammered dog shit. Hammered dog shit.
They did at least make an attempt to add some reflectors with some duct
What is
tape.
that even for? Don't even try to tell me it's for a generator. Don't even try to say that.
This will be a generator rack.
Oh! Shut the fuck up! I swear to God, I didn't know he was gonna say that. What? What? And then they didn't even paint it. I'm laughing. This isn't funny. I'm laughing because there's no words. I'm dumbfounded. I have no words. Okay, another thing. Stop putting these locks on the outside of your door. Stop it. It looks tacky, but that's not even why I have a problem with it. The only thing that's going to happen is you're going to walk inside at night, you're going to go to your bed, you're going to think you're safe, blah, blah, blah. And then again, some asshole, some teeny bopper twat baby is going to come up and put a padlock on that lock. Now what? Now you're locked in your bus, asshole! Stop putting those on the outside here, but they are so unsafe. And it looks trashy. Would you put that on your front door at your house? Come on. Stop. Stop it. In fact, just to prove a point, I want to go put a lock on everybody's door that does that. And then knock on their front door and go, oh. Oops. Now what?
Here's the safety latch. I'm going
You'll
to
think
take
twice
that
about
off,
it then.
and we'll do something proper. Anyway, let's get back here in the engine compartment.
Thank you. Oh, gee, I don't want... Shut the fuck.
Here we are at the back of the bus. I have opened up the engine bay door. They, on the trip home, had a problem with one of the coolant hoses over here, and they were losing coolant. So that was one of the first issues. And again, I can't fault the builder for that because mechanical issues do happen. However, if they had gone through the engine and purported or claimed to have done work on it, that might be one of the things you might expect them to fix, a hose that's obviously leaking at one end. I will say that while the bus was spending its 14 months having the build out done, it quit running, and the buyers were told that they had to have a mechanic come out and replace the fuel pump, the injection pump.
Is that the injection pump? Is that the fucking injection pump? That's not fixed. I do not know all the things about engines, but that is not fixed. I've had a couple new parts on my engine. You want to know what they look like? Brand fucking new. They don't look like the rest of the engine. Oh, what did they do? Weather it too? Oh, they spray some paint on that too to make it look just as corroded as the rest of the engine? That ain't new.
$1,000 some odd. And I went in here. Now, the only reason you can see the number plate over there, or the data plate on this, is because I went over it with a wire brush, but it does not look like it's seen a wrench in a long time, and certainly doesn't look like a recently replaced.
No, it damn well does not. Just so you know, I know this bus, he just said it took 14 months, Christ, to do this shit, but it does not, it takes way longer than 14 months to rust out a part like that. Because look at the rest of the engine. This engine is, I don't know what year this bus is, to be honest with you. It probably 10, 15, 20 years, something around that time frame. This is how the engine looks after that amount of time. So you're not going to tell me that a part for a fraction of that amount of time has the same amount of corrosive on it. Bullshit.
Pump, high pressure pump. Take a look at this. So why would you have an air filter taped over the turbocharger and engine inlet duct?
The rest of the bus is duct taped together?
It's because there was nothing up here. The customers sent me a photograph of the engine bay while they were on their trip back, and pointed out and sent me a photo of the fact that there was nothing here. This pipe just terminated, and the canister that typically holds the air filter, or should hold the air filter, was gone. And that's how they got it from the builder. And again, it's a used bus, but it'd be nice.
But no, not missing a whole canister for the air filter. Okay, if you don't know, those air filters, I mean, it kind of looks big on screen. Those air filters are this damn big around. That's your air filter for your exhaust. Your engine.
If the builder had either pointed that out or offered to replace it, to get them back, because they couldn't find a replacement canister anywhere, I did kind of walk them through the process of getting a filter. I sent them photographs of some filters that might fit. It's sealed on this end, and they duct taped it over here, at least so it is drawing filtered air now into the engine. They drove about 400 or 500 miles without that, unfortunately, but I think no damage was done.
All right, I said exhaust. I didn't mean exhaust.
All right, we'll close this up and go inside.
You need new, I don't know if you saw that, but you need new struts on that door because he was holding it up with clamps.
Come inside. First thing I'll point out, the customers had to screw these strips on. These aren't the right screws, these flathead tapered screws, but that's what they had, and they had to screw these on because they were just sitting there loose. You might wonder why there is a ratchet strap there. That's because the automatic door actuator doesn't work. The builder did.
Oh, it's just as crooked as the damn ladder.
All right, I'm going to put that down. Use two hands and close this. The builder did very thoughtfully provide a bolt.
I've seen locks like this, and okay, sure.
That they installed here. Problem is, it doesn't do anything.
Oh, no. Oh, shut the fuck up. Oh, my God. Oh, Jesus Christ. This is not funny, but that is hilarious. That's so sad. That's so sad. I'd be pissed. I'd be so pissed for so many reasons. One of which, oh man. Jesus Christ. Whew. Oh, ow, my belly hurts. I would be so pissed for so many reasons. One of which being that they've now put holes in this door. And the problem with these doors is that it's pretty thick metal, but it's hollow. And some of it, this door looks like steel, but some of it is aluminum. And when you start drilling through that, you can't just patch that. Like, you can, it's not going to look great. You know, so you're just putting holes everywhere, and now you get a patch, and that's so, I cannot. And then for it to not even work. Who did this? Well, I know who did it, but who does that?
Kind of pointless. So when you're driving, you really need the ratchet strap across here to keep the doors from popping open. Anyway, didn't think that through. Let's look first at a cosmetic thing. This countertop is scratched to hell. They went over it with a very coarse grit sander, and there's no finish on it at all. It's gouged. Doesn't match up over here. I mean, that's just, I'm sorry, I'm a...
Did you see that gap? That's like a quarter of an
woodworker. I've had furniture pieces that I have built featured in design magazines, and this just is, it's like a personal affront. They couldn't even bother to sand off the pencil marks when they bought this.
Unacceptable.
Kind of live edge.
Oh, you know what? That would be such a pretty countertop, all finished though, too, correctly. You know, and here's the problem, and it's not just aesthetic, guys. I mean, shit, think about this. That's not just aesthetic. When you don't sand properly and seal your countertops, that's going to absorb moisture, that's going to absorb bacteria. I mean, it's just going to hold it all. Wood is a porous material. Oh my god, like that'll freaking kill you over time. Cook on that shit.
There you go.
Plus, not to mention, fire hazard, hello! Stove and just wood, untreated wood. Shut the fuck up. Oh my god.
Anyway, let's walk around the front. Customer reported to me that they had a flat tire or had a tire issue while the bus was with the builder. So they paid a little over $2,000 to the builder to have them paint the dash silver, which they did. They even painted all the knobs silver. It's only black because that's worn off, but this was all silver. That's the headlight knob or headlight switch. But anyway, they paid a couple $1,000s to have the dash painted silver, to have that tire replaced, and to have this beautiful co-pilot seat installed. And
you're supposed to sit and face sideways, which is dangerous. No seatbelt. Clearly there's not a seatbelt. And then that looks comfortable as shit. There, you might as well just put a pallet right there and sit on it.
I'm sorry, I'm being totally sarcastic. Down here is where the release latch is for that circuit breaker panel. The customer did try to get in there by peeling off some of the paneling and then discovered this, and I will get in here eventually, but it's going to take cutting to remove this. I'm going to come back to the breaker panel because there are electrocution
I see things.
and fire hazards here.
I don't know shit about
that I want to show you in
I
detail.
see things. Why is there a bungee cord?
Here is the Nature's Head toilet room. I'll explain that in a minute. Customers had to use this bungee cord to keep the door shut.
Oh, that's attractive. Look at all the black marks on the door, too.
I want to show you this first. The out-of-square installation of this door, and the door rides in this upper track that aligns it with a wheel. And because of the way it's installed, as you open the door, it finally gets to the point where it no longer stays in the track. They do have their Nature's Head toilet in here. Problem with this is that because they put it this way instead of that way, you can't sit in here and close the door.
And close the door. Well, at least if you need toilet paper, hey honey, can you give me some toilet paper? You don't have to yell because you're just right there. Oh, thanks, babe. I mean,
your knees are in the way. Oh. This refrigerator is not secured. Well, it is secured, but this is how the builder elected to secure it.
The builder did this. The builder.
By putting in 2 D handles, one there and one here, and providing the customer with this ratchet strap.
Y'all, shit. You want to know what $45,000 gets you? It gets you 1 ratchet strap out of a pack of 4 at Home Depot that cost $20. That's what $45,000 gets you.
So instead of using a bracket, maybe polyurethane attached
and having
with
a cabinet above
5200 or
with proper
VHB
ventilation,
tape or something like
so
that. You could attach a bracket here
good.
in a way that you did not have to drill into and potentially hit a refrigerant line in the fridge or the freezer, and attach it, anchor it permanently in a way that it would be safe, and then do it down there as well. For whatever reason, they elected not to do that. These are the light switches, which are all hanging out like that.
Wait, what? On the ceiling? The light switches are on the ceiling. Honey, get the lights. Okay. What? They couldn't even be bothered to put them in the walls?
I'll show you back in the back. This pedestal is
not attached. That pedestal's not attached. And why is that tub just out in the open? Okay, wait. Well, let's think positively here. You're in the bathtub, taking a little sudsy bubble bath. You can just, as long as your ratchet strap is off of your fridge, you could open the fridge and grab yourself a glass of wine or a beer if that's your thing. All right. That's probably why they did it. All about the customer.
Shower and tub valve. The tub is free to move around. But I do love the fact that they didn't paint all the way back there.
Y'all, you just saw the tub was able to be moved. And then they didn't even move the tub to paint the movable pedestal.
That's just an attention to detail, and that's just me being nitpicky.
That's just poor craftsmanship.
Let's come back here. Nice. Fire hazard number 1. Cubic mini stove. Cubic makes a nice little stove, but if you look at the Cubic instructions, which I will show right now,
20 inches,
you'll see that Cubic specifies a minimum of 20 inches clearance between the stove and a flammable surface, and this painted wood
can't even paint a
is
surface.
definitely
They're not going to measure
a flammable surface, and it's maybe 2 inches there. I mean, up here is an inch, but let's not count that. Give them the benefit of the doubt. So they're 1/10 of the way to their 20-inch clearance.
There's just a screw missing.
Come back here. You've got a closet. Over here, another 2x4 settee bench, little L-shaped thing. I want to show you in the back here.
No. Do you know what those are? I'm going to tell you what those are. Those are the solar cables. Just floating. They're floating outside. I don't know why they would be not floating inside.
I don't know if you can see the solar wiring. There's MC cable down there, or MC conduit. The solar wiring comes through here and is just exposed. So that's not proper and not really safe. You know, you got 120 volts, maybe more potential in this cable here. So this constitutes, or is considered, it is a high voltage cable, and it's just hanging out. Definitely would not meet code. In fact, there are things in here that if this...
Oh my God. Do you see that outlet?
...is a home done by a licensed contractor, would get that contractor sued and probably lose their license.
I just want to stop on that real quick. I just want to stop on that. What he just said, let's reiterate. If this were done in a home, that would get a contractor sued and most likely lose his license. Thank you. Thank you. People who know what the fuck they're talking about don't do stuff like this. This is why you don't DIY, and this is why we've got to crack down on these shit builders. Again, I am not blaming the victims of this. I am so saddened for them. But we all need to learn. Well, we know, but you all need to learn from these mistakes. Learn from other people's mistakes. Don't let this happen to you.
Unfortunately, and this is one of the lessons that I hope people take away from this, there are no similar standards for RV builders. There is the RVIA, and that...
I thought he was going to say Skoolie builders. He said RV, and he said that for a reason. There are no RV standards. This is, again, it comes back to another video that I have, but another topic, slightly off topic, but still in line. There are no standards for RVs. They run out of a screw. They run out of a type of wall panel. You want to know what they do? They make it up. I've seen 2020 RVs with different colored wall panels, one next to another, because they ran out in production. They don't wait to get the same color in again. They just put in whatever they can. I've got different screws in, like, the hinges on my door. I've got different screws from hinge to hinge. There is no standard. There's nobody looking over these. School buses are worse because people DIY them. Hey, I'm all for the DIY. That's my jam. But not when you learn from people who also don't know what the fuck they're doing. You don't have to know everything in the world. You don't. Have somebody on your team that knows what you don't. That's it.
Organization, but not, you don't have to be a licensed contractor to do this kind of work. So choose carefully. I'm going to pick this up here, and I'm going to show you a few things. There is the 12-volt water pressure pump.
Do you see it? Do y'all see it? Oh boy.
And
you see it?
I'm holding this with my head. You'll notice that it is attached to the top, but not at the bottom. So as this bounces, eventually it's going to break that bracket. That pipe there goes to the...
That's not the inlet.
Tank. That pipe is the exterior fill that I showed you. And that runs over here to the tank.
That's not going to
which
work.
I do not see is vented unless this is a vent. I have not crawled under here yet. And that might be an overflow vent. Anyway, they got the water pressure pump, and it goes down there. And then the red line, the red PEX tubing, is the hot water. And that's the first thing that I'm really upset by. First off, you don't use wire nuts inside a bus or any kind of a vehicle like that. You've got the potential for those to come apart. And if these wire nuts here, which really should be crimp connectors, if those wire nuts come apart, you got 12 volts there, and it's unlikely anything's going to happen unless this isn't fused and those touch each other, and then that wire melts. But it does look like it's fused down here through this little fuse block. But that is absolutely just, that's criminal, really. Well, not literally, unfortunately, but there should be some civil liability attached to that, because those are 120 volt high voltage connections, just like you'd have in your house, absolutely capable of killing you if you were to touch that.
Wow. That breaks my damn heart. Like, this is not funny. That's not okay. This is what I'm talking about, guys. Like, these guys knew something about something to be able to wire this stuff together. And you've got people that know far less than these people, than these builders. Wiring this, you're gonna kill yourself. Wow. Well, I wasn't expecting that.
And if those came apart and the circuit breaker didn't blow that controls or feeds this receptacle here, then you could have a fire down here. You got arcing, you've got wood. Those should be done in a box, not just sitting out on the floor like that. And they shouldn't be done with wire nuts. I'm not sure.
I think he said this. But those wire nuts, oh man. Oh, that's fucking heartbreaking. There are different ways to connect wire, and you can solder them. There are these sort of sleeves that you can buy, these heat shrink sleeves where you strip the wire, which means you take off the coating, you expose the copper, you put them together in this sleeve, kind of like a Chinese finger torture, and then you heat shrink it, and that's one of the most secure connections. And then you also have your basic connection where you strip the wire, you twist the copper together, lay it flat, and electrical tape it. The temporary solution to connecting wire is to put the wire together, twist the wire nut on it. The wire nut is basically just like a cap. It is a cap. It's just a cap that's twisted onto the end of the wire. They'll come loose in a...
How well that's going to work as a water heater.
Set.
But it doesn't really matter because the inverter isn't hooked up to anything. So they have two Battle-Born batteries. I've got this plywood bed leaning on my shoulder, so I apologize if I'm moving around a little bit. First off, these are kind of shitty crimp connections there, and they really ought to be covered with heat shrink tubing. Love the washer laying down there. So these are the solar wires, the high voltage lines coming in from the solar panels to the charge controller. Then the charge controller has the DC charge cables going to the battery. This is not the ideal way to do it. You should have maybe the positive on this terminal and the negative over there so that you are really sort of forcing the best possible charge when you got two batteries like that. But anyway, these cables then are going to the inverter, and they provide 12 volt power to the inverter. Personally, just at first glance, these cables look small for an inverter of that size, but it doesn't really matter because, like I said, the inverter's not connected to anything, so it's powered up, but there's no way for the electricity, for the Pixies, the 120 volt power, to get from there to anything else. Believe it or not, the customers told me that they were advised that if they wanted to use the solar power and not shore power, they would have to take an extension cord and run it from here out a window and around to that exterior shore power plug.
What? So they have a solar setup. Ignore all of the exposed everything. They have a solar setup and they have to run from their inverter an extension cord out their window and around to the other side of the bus at the front where that electrical connection that we saw earlier was. The one that I criticized for being so far up on the bus.
That's what they told me, and I believe it because there is no other way for electricity for 120 volt power to get from here to the panel up front. Here's another place where somebody could get hurt or they could lose their bus. So these lugs here provide power connections to these breakers, and anybody that does electrical work can look at this already and see what the problem is. And there are a couple. First off, these are 30 amp circuit breakers connected to 12 gauge wire. 12 gauge wire is what you would use for a 20 amp circuit. 12 gauge wire is not suitable for a 30 amp circuit. That's coming in here. And these wires are also 12 gauge, only suitable for 20 amp circuits. Sorry, I got distracted because as I'm moving this, I don't know if you can see the top of that wire moving in there. So I haven't checked torque on this, but it doesn't look like it's very tight if that wire's moving around freely in there. So anyway, these wires here could carry up to 50 amps, should be designed to carry at least 30 amps, and it's only 12 gauge wire suitable for circuits up to 20 amps. So this panel could draw as much as 50 amps maybe if it's plugged in with an adapter to a 50 amp shore power pedestal, and you've got 12 gauge wire coming in. That is absolutely a fire hazard. Each of these are also a fire hazard because if that wire connection back there below the bed were to come apart, those wire nuts came apart and they shorted out, it could draw up to 30 amps through a wire designed for, or intended for, or rated for 20 amp circuit. And what happens is you end up with the potential for overheating and a fire. Take a look back here too. I don't know if you can see the insulation. And there's bare copper exposed there. That's 120 volts coming in when this is plugged into shore power, or if that inverter were somehow to magically be able to get power up into this panel.
So I'm not stopping a lot here because I'm just kind of learning and listening a little bit. I saw the exposed wire, and I didn't know these wires did look small. But I'm not stopping too much here because I'm still not super well versed on the gauges and the amperages and stuff like that. I do know the dangers of wire nuts in a setting like this, and what happens when they're not installed correctly.
Fire hazard, code violation. Fire hazard, code violation. Inlet wires, fire hazard, code violation. Somebody could get seriously hurt. Let's go back outside. I want to show you one more thing. Now, I have not done a lot of crawling around underneath the bus. This bus has air ride suspension. You never want to, first off, it's pretty low. I would not air it up and then crawl under. You never want to do that, because if you were underneath a bus and the airbags were inflated and one of them ruptured or a line ruptured and that bus comes down, you're not going to hold it off you. But water tank up front here, there is...
They used a P-trap. Oh my god. Oh my god. What? The stupidity. I'm still reeling at this. A P-trap in a house makes a P shape, makes this little loop, loop-de-doop, and a little swoop-de-doop-de, and it keeps water, right, in the loop. It keeps water in the bottom of that loop, so stinkies don't come back up through the pipe. Again, not going to work in a moving setting. That water is going to slosh around, and you are forever going to smell your black and or gray tank and any sewage or anything. Even a P-trap in a sink. I mean, if you've got a gray tank that only has like sink water and shower water and no waste, right? Stuff, number one or number two, you are still going to smell, that water is stinky. You're still going to smell that gray water.
Trap.
Oh, man.
I forgot to show you. There's a P-trap under the sink inside, too. You don't use... There's a P-trap under here.
Oh, look. They finished painting in here, too. Was that just open?
There's a P-trap under here.
This looks like my RV. Not quite as bad. I mean, I don't have a P-trap, and I definitely have a cover over that damn receptacle, which I don't know why there's a receptacle right there, to be honest. Why the fuck is there a receptacle right there? Never mind. So, but this looks like my RV. This is how RVs are built. They just cut big ass holes and just leave them open, and then you just see daylight through some cracks.
And that receptacle back there has no cover plate on it.
This is exactly what
it would also be a code violation and would not pass inspection in a home. But a P-trap...
But somehow, it's not going to pass inspection in a home, but somehow it's good for a mobile home.
...is not really intended for use in a moving vehicle. And then I'm not quite sure what this is. I think that is the drain, but with it angled up like that, I don't know how you're supposed to drain the tank. Are you supposed to you're supposed to tighten that up, bend that down? I have no idea what they were thinking there. Apparently they weren't.
Like, water's not going to go up. Like, yes, the drain was on the bottom of the tank, which is where you want it, because when you empty a gray tank, you just, pull the valve or however, whatever contraption keeps the water in there. You pull the valve, twist the handle, whatever, and gravity takes over. But gravity is only going to take over. So you had your tank up here and that valve down here. So if that tank is full, then yes, when you release that lever, the water will come down to that point. But it's not going to empty it and then gravity just somehow becomes non-existent for the rest of the tank.
I hope this was helpful. I wanted to show you some of the quality issues that we noticed, some of the safety issues that we found. There may be more, and if there is, we'll do.
Think about this. The door is right there. You walk into the tub. Then you got a half-ass couch here, a half-ass, kitchen here, and then the bathroom across from the kitchen. And none of this makes sense.
Do a follow-up video on that. Again, my goal here was not to drum up business and not necessarily to beat up on one particular company, but I do feel like these buyers are in a class that I'd consider victims. They went into this and expected much higher quality. They expected their build to be done in a way where it would be safe, not prone to fire or electrical hazards, and there are definitely a couple of those in here. So, wanted to show you what to watch out for. Whoever you're working with, whether you're doing this with a company, a builder, a contractor, or doing it yourself, I hope that you saw some things that you don't want to do, that you learned a little bit. If we can help you out in any way, please feel free to reach out to us. The customers that bought this bus have really good attitudes. They're going to fix these things, some of those with our help, some on their own, and they've got a great future planned with this bus. So
I'm just going to say that they are so much more optimistic than pretty much everybody else is about this. And maybe that's just the type of people that they are. I don't know them well enough to say one way or another, but I could imagine at the very least, they're at least in a state of mind where they say there's nothing we can do about it. Like us getting overly worked up about it isn't going to change it. So let's understand where we are to move forward. They are, I'll say, pursuing further action. This doesn't end here. This does not end here. And they are not the only ones that will be getting involved. So this video evidence is great. The experts seeing this and commenting on this is great. That's going to be evidence. And so, I wish them nothing but the absolute best. And this community, if you haven't seen it, has really come together for these guys. And I think that's amazing. Together, I think that we can change the way that these buses are built, but it's going to take an effort. So I am saddened and I'm heartbroken and I'm disgusted, but I'm hopeful that people will be brought to justice. And that we can really sort of turn this, boat around before we get too far in the weeds of things. That was a lot of analogies all at once. So there you have it. There's the mess that is this bus. They don't get better. I've seen other buses by this company. They don't get better. This is not a one-off. This is par for the course. I'm going to say this. I don't think it's right to go on Lonestar Skoolie's Facebook and start leaving a bunch of bad reviews. They're gonna have to answer to this stuff. Okay. Let's let the people who are taking care of this focus on what they need to focus on, not on people who did not go through these experiences leaving bad reviews. There are other ways, I guess, to sort of protest. So, do that. Comment on these videos, speak about it in the groups, in the Skoolie groups. Hell, go to my Skoolie group, Sam the Skoolie and friends. There's a link down below. I don't really have people on there yet, but I'm trying to create a good, solid group to discuss and to ask legitimate questions. And I'm moderating it. It's not going to be one of these 60,000 people groups that get a lot of trolls and a lot of spam. We're not doing it. I'm not allowing it. This is a safe and welcoming environment. I'm dead ass serious, and it will stay that way. So thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. This was a mess. Holy shit, this was a mess. Get professionals' opinions, get their help, learn from the right people, watch what you watch on YouTube. I know this video was a little lengthy, but, I actually had somebody comment, the first person, the first sort of not outstanding review I got that said, it was too long, one of your videos was too long. Well, if my video is too long for you, then they're not going to get shorter a lot of times, right? This channel is an in-depth look at issues and how to build right and step-by-step explanations. If that's not for you, hey, more power to you. But these are videos that I wish I had when I started. These are videos that, that I've put out a couple, just the welcome videos. You can see it on my channel. And I've had so many people come give me feedback and say, great job. Thank you so much. I'm looking so forward to the rest of your videos. Blah, 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 blah. Nothing about the length being too long. Nothing about the content being bad or the quality being poor. So I'm going to keep doing these videos like this. And if you don't like it, there's other channels. There's channels that have 2-minute videos that say, we put together a floor today. Bye. Click. Go to those channels. This is not that channel. I have high hopes for what's to come with this couple, and I will help them in any way that I can. So, we'll see you next week. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Guys, subscribe. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. I haven't gotten too much into the weeds yet on watch time and stuff like that. I'm still learning, right? But last time I looked, I'm up to 50 subscribers. What? 50 of you? Ah, cool. Share it with your friends, baby. Let's get to 100. I'm excited. I'm so geeked out. So please, I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Seriously, that means the world. This was a sad video to make, but it was fun. So I hope you liked it. There were surprises for me, definitely. So thank you. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you next week for, unless something changes, because this was unplanned, unless something changes next week, which tiny home is right for you? We're going to really start the content that was supposed to be this week, before this video showed up as a surprise. So stay tuned next week. It's a good video. We'll see you next week. Bye, guys.